need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Next question comes from Maria. And Maria is writing me from Brooklyn. She says, "Hi, Betsy. I love your podcast and I recommend it to everyone I know. You're an excellent host. I love the show and I'm blown away too. My husband and I bought our first home last year. We live in Brooklyn. Throughout the home, we have hardwood floors with a red mesquite color. The walls are painted a warm white, creamy by Sherwin-Williams. The crown and shoe moldings are in extra white. We are now in the process of getting window treatments. I'm going to do Roman shades throughout the house. I like neutral colors and gray and beige. I wanted your opinion about what type and color of window treatment would work best for the kitchen window and the sliding door that goes out to the balcony. I was thinking light beige Roman shades for the kitchen window and maybe a vertical blind for the door. Also, do you think I should paint the medium brown wood trim that's around the window and around the door? Perhaps in a white or gray to break up the medium wood that's in the kitchen? After the window treatments, we do plan on updating the backsplash and countertop in the kitchen. I'm thinking white stone countertop with a white beige backdrop. I will not choose white on white as I have learned that from you. We will also change and get an aluminum sink with a black handle so I can mix metals. See, I do listen to your podcast. And I will change out the white knobs for nickel or even copper or rose gold. I am open to your ideas about what to do with the window and the doorway to break up this wood in my kitchen." All right, well, I love the pictures. They are really illustrating the situation, so I greatly appreciate you sending those in, Maria. I want to challenge one thing that you said. You said you're a regular listener, and I think you're going to have to go back in the database a few years. Maybe you're a new listener, because you should also know I do not like rose gold. I love rose gold for jewelry. I love if you're shopping at H&M and find something rose gold and want to layer it on. But rose gold is just too trendy. And not only is it too trendy, it's a trend that was happening 3 to 5 years ago. Rose gold is over. And if you start doing things in rose gold, you're going to quickly run into a roadblock because nothing's really offered in rose gold anymore. It is super dated. It is obsolete. If you want to wear a ring or a necklace, go right ahead. If you want to do something like put it in your kitchen, think again. I'm open to the other metal suggestions like nickel. Ugh, I'm barely open to copper. Copper is going to be very difficult to work with. It's not trendy. I would say that it's pretty timeless, but you are going to have a really hard time replicating that copper tone in anything else. So sticking with warm metals like gold or brass, sticking with cool metals like nickel or chrome, and then sticking with black metals like wrought iron or bronze are really going to be your best choices. Any metals that are more exotic than that are going to be really difficult to back up with other things. All right, let's get to your real questions, but I couldn't let that slide by, Maria. As a fan, I want you to know everything that I know. I want my brain to be transmuted through the airwaves into your brain so that you don't make bad choices. And I'm worried that you're going to make a really bad choice with something really important in your kitchen. Help me help you. All right, now let's talk about the Roman shades. Now, you know that I don't care for Roman shades in a lot of applications because they have a huge header. So Roman shades are fabric blinds that go up in rectilinear kind of pieces, and all that fabric has to nest at the top. So if you're going to do a Roman blind, either you need a really big window, right? And that means really high and gets a lot of beautiful natural light because you're going to lose 8 to 18 inches at the top where all that fabric comes together when you've got the window open. The other thing I don't like about Roman blinds is that it's fabric. And in a kitchen, that would trouble me, especially right above your sink where it might get splashed, it might get grease. Ugh, I don't love a fabric window treatment in a kitchen. because it's going to be impossible to clean. You can't take that Roman shade down and put it in the washer. Like, ugh, and they tend to be expensive if you're doing custom. So you're really going to invest in something that could get pretty gross pretty fast. Now, going back to my first objection, if you wanted to prevent the blind from eating up all that beautiful window light, because this window is not tall in your kitchen, it is squat and wide, then you could outside mount the blind, which means not doing it inside the framing, but rather above the framing. And the thing I like about that is that you do have some drywall there that would then gain some visual interest and it would make your window look a lot taller. The thing I don't like about that is when you outside mount a Roman blind, unless you have a very deep sill, which you do not in this case, the Roman blind is not going to have a place to rest. It's not going to meet the window when it's fully drawn, which means that it will just dangle there, just hanging in midair. And of course, you're going to do it custom, so it'll fit just perfectly. But I don't love the dangle above a kitchen sink. Now, maybe all the time you're going to have it up, but in that case, what you've created is a valance. And if you've read my book, Chapter 9, you know my feelings on valances. Can I just dissuade you from doing a Roman blind in this kitchen? Is there anything more I can say or do to help you pivot in a way that would make sense and be most cost effective? I am open to you doing a roller blind, a wood slatted blind, potentially no treatment at all if you don't need privacy, even though in Brooklyn, I'm having a hard time imagining a space where you don't need privacy. But you've got such a big space here for Brooklyn that I'm just wondering where you're located at all. You have a slider, all this amazing stuff. So let's just assume you're in an urban environment, which I assume you are, being Brooklyn, and that you do need that privacy. You also want to be careful because you have a hand crank to open the window. So you need something that's going to fall in front of that without catching on the hand crank. So you do seem to have a deep window box, and I'm excited for that idea of a roller blind or that wood slatted blind. With the sliders, there have been a lot of good recent innovations in sliding door treatments. Of course, you could do the vertical. It's not the worst idea, but there's all sorts of different things. So I would want you to explore other options. I would want you to get somebody custom in this room to give you the other options because there's constant new things coming along. They've got these things called like a panel track that has wider sort of slats, but it can look a little bit IKEA. They have fabric sliding panels. They have cellular sliding panels. So you may want to explore the different options. And of course, all of those come at different price points. But now let's get to your next question. This place is so woody. You have those kind of rich wood cabinets. You have that mesquite wood stained floor. You have wood trim on the window and the slider. You have a wood dining table and you have wood chairs and a wood ceiling fan. I mean, come on. We've got to escape all this wood. And you do have crown molding in this room that has been painted white. I highly recommend painting the sliding door frame and the window frame that same white from the trim. I don't recommend using a different trim color. Now, guys, you will see in historic homes, you will see in other types of homes sometimes, different rooms that are painted with different trim colors. And I think that is amazing. I think it's really fun. I also think you have to have an amazing eye to do that. I don't think that's something just the lay person can throw together. And the molding needs to be really interesting if you're going to draw someone's eye to it. And in this case, the molding is rather simplistic. So keep it that extra white that you've been doing the rest of the trim, but I think it will really lighten and brighten the space and also update it because I'm really excited to hear that eventually you'll do the countertops as well as the backsplash. This place needs an update. And if you take my advice, which I think that you should, and you don't do the Roman blind around the window, I highly recommend bringing that backsplash tile not only all the way up to the range hood, but also that sheetrock above the window would look amazing with the same backsplash treatment. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.